The second floor.
Good morning. Welcome, everybody. This is the confirmation hearing executive appointment for Saxton Shearer, Director of Maintenance and Operations. Let's go ahead and take the roll. Start down here.
Bill Marshall. Meg Zalatow.
Forrest Dunbar.
Crystal Kennedy.
John Weddleton.
Stanley Davidson.
Felix Rivera. Christopher Constant on the phone.
Jamie Allard.
Saxton Shearer. Nikki Shabaka.
Barbara Jones.
Christina Hendrickson.
Lance Wilbur. I have a reporter back there. Go ahead.
You can call Hayward, except point gun and watch dog.
And Tom McGrath. All right, thank you, everybody. As is standard now, we'll hand the floor over to Representative of the Municipal Manager, Nikki Chewbacca, the HR Director.
Thank you, Assembly Constant. It's my pleasure to introduce Saxton Shearer. He's the mayor's nominee for Director of Maintenance and Operations. Saxton brings to the municipality over a decade of commercial contracting and facility maintenance management experience. Saxton is specialized in leading all phases of planning, procurement, permitting, accounting, scheduling, quality control, conflict resolution, and subcontractor compliance. He's an effective communicator, and he's experienced in contract negotiations, time management, budgeting, and federal acquisition regulations. Saxton understands environmental and regulatory code compliance, and he has a successful track record directing teams and projects in multiple locations simultaneously. He offers a broad range of skills that we believe are uniquely suited to the position for which he's been nominated. His understanding of MOA policy and procedures and of interdepartment capabilities also make him a great choice for this position. So we're delighted that he's joined this administration. We're looking forward to the positive impact that he's going to have on our city in his new role, should he be confirmed by this assembly.
Sure, you're recognized.
Hello, my name is Saxton Shearer again, and I was born here in Anchorage, raised in Chugiak. My father is a retired ASD teacher and coach. My mother continues to own or operate a hair salon for over 40 years. I've been married for 10 years now. My high school sweetheart, and have two boys, 5 and 3. My wife, Cammie, is a labor and delivery nurse here at nearby Alaska Native Medical Center. Together, we've grown in our careers while also renovating properties, managing tenants, and building our family here. Not that this director opportunity was demanding enough, I've also become my son's tiny mite football coach for the Weber Panthers. In conjunction, as it seems, I'll sleep when the football season's over. Professionally, I've worked as a project manager on various construction projects around the state of Alaska for the past 12 years. My responsibilities have ranged from writing proposals, accounting, estimating, managing people and assets, to working with town representatives and government authorities to secure project success. My strengths are my understanding of the government quality control system, overcoming challenges, promoting safety in the workplace. In more recent years, I've excelled at the initiating and planning phases of 2 very large hospital projects, one in Bethel and the other in Sitka, Alaska. I've developed a reputation for being dependable, diligent, and effective, and there's a strong correlation between the contracts I manage and their timely success. I'm more than excited by this possibility to take on this new role with the same stride. In 2020, I earned my project manager professional certification, which solidified my accomplishments as a PM. The PMP is a gold standard for project management certification. It validates competence to perform in the role of project manager, leading and directing project teams. My successful past performance over the many years, managing contracts with the municipality of Anchorage, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and the private sector prepared me well for this opportunity. I believe I have the skills necessary to exceed expectations. In my brief time as director, I've been welcomed by many within the O&M department. We have been working to capture key performance indicators to better identify areas for improvement. Soon we look to improve our facility work order system to take advantage of the GIS data already collected, which will help us financially forecast capital improvements and account for overall asset maintenance costs. It is my hope that you will consider my credentials and achievements for the Director of Maintenance and Operations position. I would be honored to lend my expertise to the people of Anchorage, the Anchorage Assembly, and the Bronson administration. Thank you for your consideration.
Mr. Rivera.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I have a couple questions. So one of the departments you're going to be managing is street maintenance, and I have a lot of interest in that department for a couple of reasons. But before I get to my specific question, can you talk a little bit about the collaboration between, or how you might look at further collaboration between the state and the municipality when it comes to snow plowing, both when it comes to streets and sidewalks?
Yes, I'll add, I'm very fortunate to have very experienced leadership in those key roles, such as Paul Van Landingham, who's well known. Those relationships I'm able to leverage for kind of expedited communication between those adjacent entities. There are some efficiencies that we like to explore. I probably couldn't speak on those in the level of detail that you would want at this time.
Sure.
But there are definitely efficiencies we're looking at exploiting, which is with the state, but also with ASD.
Okay, great. Glad to hear that that's going to be a focus. And then second, this should come no surprise to my colleagues. So every year, there's always a concern that I hear from my neighbors about sidewalk plowing, and particularly ensuring ease of access for public transit users who, this is their mode of transportation, and they get off the bus and now there's no sidewalk, so they got to walk in the middle of the street. So what can you do, or if you don't really have the specifics, is this an area that you can work collaboratively with the administration on, with the assembly on, to see if we can find some improvements to sidewalk plowing?
Absolutely. And I can't speak to that specifically. As you may know, I was at Transit 2020 through 21, and just recently transitioned from Transit to here. I was their project manager for capital improvements, but also it was a dual role as the site enhancement project manager. And I manage the 4-man team who maintains accessibility. And it is isolated. It's really a designation of scope of work where that site enhancement team, there's a 4-man team and they're perfectly manned with the right equipment to provide access at those bus stops. I am on speed dial. If you had any complaints from your constituents, it is a matter of minutes before that you could have a response from that team. Outside of those bus pad transition areas where passengers are picked up and dropped off, those longer stretches of sidewalks obviously falls under this O&M role. And I'm getting a feel for what that takes, but Paul Van Landingham has assured me of a quick response. And we're working to refine that communication.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else? Mr. Wilt.
I'm kind of vague on what Maine M&O does. I mean, what departments work?
It's quite an umbrella. There's over, I believe now MOA has over 150 buildings. And so we have the facility maintenance team. There are the plumbers, the electricians, the carpenters, and those are all housed in the same, outbuilding where I'm outside of Transit. And that's where we receive facility work order requests. Those come in through the facility work order request system, and that's where you can get basic functions of your office. Obviously, some buildings are leased and managed by other entities, but if it is an MOA asset building, our people respond to those repairs during regular business hours and outside of those as far as emergency response goes. Then there's the street maintenance umbrella, and street maintenance has, I believe, over 114 employees. And those employees range from anywhere from mechanics, M1s, all the way up through superintendent positions. And those are housed over off the Northwood lot where the majority of those personnel are housed. So between facility maintenance and street maintenance, those are the biggest numbers of people. Adjacent to me in my office is the capital improvement project management team. Shay Throop is our senior PM. And then he has 3 project managers underneath him, and we manage those capital projects. Their costs are borne by the projects and their individual funding. So if you're a department, say real estate has a tenant improvement and they want a new kiosk and everything set up in their office, their project is initiated by our department once we have a funding string that says the money is available. Please project manage our project from conception through close. And that's what triggers our response internally. So I work very close with that project management team, and we're looking at efficiencies and improvements there as well, but been fortunate to have, good people to work with.
We have another.
Go ahead, there's no one.
Okay, so, in, Bethel, were you the project manager on that hospital rebuild?
I was not. I had a very compartmentalized piece of that project. I worked for Arcadis, a consulting firm, for 2 years. And my portion was $26 million of the, what they call FFE, furniture, feature, and equipment. And $26 million, my piece was the medical equipment. So I project managed the procurement, everything from the ITB solicitation process. And we had to conform to USD because there's federal monies involved in that project. And I saw that through.
Thanks.
Next, is Ms. Elton, then Ms. Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tell me a little bit more about what you mean when you say efficiencies. You've mentioned that a few times. Are you talking about personnel efficiencies, systems efficiencies, a little bit of everything?
I mean, we've had objectives given to us. It's pretty high level right now as far as my understanding of this. My favorite is the facility maintenance aspect, which I'm very excited to dig into. The staff that I'm working with there are very experienced and been there for years, and I brought to their attention some features that will make their jobs easier, but will also make reporting to you, the assembly, and people of Anchorage a lot easier. We'll have better key performance indicators that will show, we say, demands on infrastructure or assets to date. So within 5 minutes, you want to know the boiler of this building, how much maintenance costs we had on that boiler, what is the lifespan of that asset. Within 5 minutes, I should be able to give that to you. And we are looking at being able to do that. In the past, it hasn't been efficient, and it's because, for capital improvements, in the past, we've only taken our 5 most, our worrisome assets. Go ahead. Okay. So in the past, we've had very, I'd say, assets that have reached the end of their life cycle or useful life. And we don't know the exact financial burden of that asset as far as maintenance goes. So the cost of replacement or the cost of maintaining, we never know at a given time as it appears. So as we dig into that data, it seems that some of our maintenance software is obsolete. I've sat down with ASD, I've sat down with multiple entities to see what the capabilities are of their tracking systems that are equivalent of the municipality of Anchorage, the number of buildings and square footage with similar assets. And it just appears that we're not as efficient as we could be in responding to maintenance calls, but also tracking the financial costs for maintenance versus replacement.
So just really quick point of clarification. So some kind of system change, like whether it's a software system or something like that, is what you're thinking might work?
It's a consideration, but we do have software licenses right now with Micromain, which is a system that we currently use, and we're not tapping into its full potential. So we're definitely looking at using that system to its full capability. Paul Van Landingham at Streets has a nice system, and we have licensing existing within MOA. So it's a matter of just adding another license potentially per computer. Micromain, I just had it added to my computer. It was $100 for the year. And it's given me visibility to the work order system. And I'm able to use it and explore other features of it. So it very well may have that reporting capability. We're just not currently using it. So we definitely want to work within the capabilities of what we currently have right now.
Thank you.
Next, we have Ms. Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think my question is probably going to carry on from some of what Ms. Zolotel started, and that's just in that idea of shared services with ASD. And, we have talked about this, I think, literally for decades, and it's just been an incredibly tough nut to crack. So I would kind of be interested in just how you feel like you can approach that kind of a conversation, and really what some of your goals might be, other than just the term efficiency. Are there things that are already rising kind of to the top that you think you can, that can at least be discussed? But in that question also is the idea that if we're talking about even sharing staff and maybe various levels of expertise, One of my concerns is just in terms of the personnel that we may have that may be at that retiring level, and we're starting to lose people that really have that greater expertise. What are we kind of looking at in the municipality in terms of being able to actually provide the services that we think we need in some of these different job classifications? And does that actually maybe encourage us to even be able to look to like Anchorage for some of their expertise and how we kind of share some of the, literally the expertise of various job classifications? So if you wouldn't mind just jumping in on that.
Yeah, with ASD.
Thanks.
Yeah, I had a great meeting. I spent the majority of a day with them. It was a scheduled invite, met with their facility maintenance manager and their staff and their capital improvement or projects team. And there was one individual I met there. She came on at 22 years old with her MBA, and she was quickly worked her way up. Now she's still fairly young. I mean, I believe she's under 30 still, and she is accredited to a lot of the big changes they had there. She was very impressive to talk to. The maintenance manager equivalent of my acting position now gave a lot of credit to her, and it was quite a system. When I saw the baseline of where they were at before they brought on their staff years ago to create what they've created now, it was impressive. And they share that interest in finding where we could potentially overlap. I mean, there's a lot of informal conversations about grabbing some of their staff, and we perform some of that scope of work. We're looking at what does the revenue look like if we brought that over here and we did that service. Facility maintenance currently maintains their pool systems. It is a burden on our crews. It's a heavy financial obligation to maintain the pool heating systems, the pool pumps, and I was educated on that well before coming here. I'm getting more informed on how that developed to where MOA facility maintenance took on that scope of work from ASD. And my basic understanding, as I was instructed, was that it was a square footage formula based off of per student, per square foot of the ASD buildings. When they were able to eliminate the square footage from those pool facilities and give that to MOA, their formula was more in their favor. Again, I'm still working through all that. I'm sharing what I know at this point, but they do share an interest in working together. They do like our capabilities. We do have features that they want from us, which is fleet maintenance, heavy equipment maintenance. Our equipment has lower hours. We have better capabilities, better trained staff to maintain that heavy equipment for them. There's a lot of avenues that we have that would be advantageous to them. So working to explore that.
Thank you. And then so how are we in terms of having that level of expertise in all of the different job classifications? Or are we really looking at making sure we can bring on new people and get them hired and trained and certified and all that? What's the staffing look like right now?
Well, I mean, right now our staffing looks pretty good. It is concerning looking at the level of experience and projected retiring dates of some of key individuals. And that comes back to, specifically our capital projects division. We dropped the ball a little bit on reporting on some of our projects. And it was really because some of the most experienced individuals who are managing specifically like a few of the earthquake projects, they weren't in a project management system. They were proprietary on that individual's laptop. So if they didn't save their files to the G drive or so on and so forth, I mean, you had to manually extract that information. So it's a single point of contact failure, essentially. Thankfully, we haven't absorbed any major consequences. But as I've been a part of baselining, figuring out active projects, where are they at to closure, especially as FEMA money is expiring with earthquake repairs, we want to see where we're at. And that, we found, hey, our project is still not closed. What's holding it up from closure? And we found, oh, that's still on so-and-so's computer. He retired a year ago. How did that happen? So thankfully, again, it's not significant, but in other organizations I've been a part of, usually other individuals have access to that information through a project management software. There's no unified database for that information to filter through pay estimates, product submittals, all that, which can be easily filed to a project folder when that project is done. For multiple reasons, it's efficient to do it that way, but it's also It's the consolidation and safety of the information, especially for transfer and closure. So we're working on it.
So
Thank you, Mr.
I just
Chair.
have to
Thank you, Mr.
ask
Chair.
a clarifying question. Did I just hear you say that even the muni is having trouble getting permits closed on projects because of muni staff?
No,
That's not what I heard.
no, it
Specifically, it was the issue of the FEMA funding.
specifically, this was a FEMA, any of our only shortfall that I found in capital projects really was just that I audited, just to see, Travis Friss, CFO, reached out, wanted to just know where we at with the earthquake repairs on certain projects. There's only a couple remaining that are still remain open. They're not formally closed. And when we looked through there, it was just some formalities to close it.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Mr. Dunbar
My question was asked and answered, thank you.
and Mr. Weddleton.
Thanks. Continue a little bit on the ASD theme and coordination. I appreciate all your answers here. So you said we have 150 buildings. Does that include ASD?
No.
Essentially, I didn't realize it was that many. So we have heard, because we meet quarterly with the ASD, and there has been for decades a push to coordinate wherever we can, and there's challenges. But we were told that ASD has a really good system for building maintenance because they have so many, and that they took over doing, I think, solid waste services in at least one other department, changing air filters or whatever, that kind of stuff. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Solid Waste Services and the Port of Anchorage.
Okay.
ASD provides maintenance to those those entities.
Would you expand that bit? They do change your air filters and you fix their heavy equipment, or where are we driving?
It's revenue based. I can't be sure on the compensation because I did ask that same question. Darren Hardgraves is the point of contact I was working with. Again, he's very proud of the changes and implementing that system that he's made, and for the right reasons. I mean, you ask any question, you can generate a report. It is very interesting what he's been able to do there. But I feel that he took on solid waste services and the Port of Anchorage because he was able to provide possibly better service, was my understanding. I had the same question. How did you take on the port and solid waste services and essentially take that away from our, because it is a revenue for us as well. And so in a nice way, he said, well, I was able to provide better service. I go, good on you, sir. So yeah. But his tracking of the financials for maintenance are impressive.
Okay, so we're basically out of time. Clarification, we now call it the Port of Alaska, not the Port of Anchorage.
That's right. Yeah.
Officially renamed.
Yeah.
And for my part, I don't have a question, but a couple comments. You have some big shoes to fill. Alan Chakowski stuck around for a very long time through various and many political tides that shifted pretty dramatically because of the work that he did that was quality for the municipality. It's not unusual to hear lots of complaints from people. In fact, to get stopped in the street to say, I oppose this person or that person. But just yesterday, someone stopped me to say that I should support you. And that was interesting because it's not very common for someone to go out of their way to do that. And, I do my homework on all the appointees, and I found really the only social story about you is a story about a marrow transplant in Havre, Montana. And I think that speaks to the qualities of the person. So with that, I look forward to hearing termination of the body Tuesday night. We'll see you there. Thank you. We're adjourned.
Everything I need.
Oh. My daughter does that picture. So we're